All right, so get ready, because today we are going deep into a mystery that has been haunting people for over a century.
Wow, a whole century.
Yeah, the Hinterkaifeck Murders.
Yeah, I've heard of this one.
It's 1922 rural Germany.
Okay.
And just picture this secluded farmstead and then a family just brutally wiped out.
Oh.
With so many unanswered questions, it practically begs us to try and solve it. So,
I love that.
do you think you're up for the challenge?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, great. So what I think is so captivating about Hinterkaifeck is that even with all the information we have, eyewitness accounts,
Right.
police reports, even modern forensic analysis, the puzzle is still incomplete.
That's what makes it so fascinating. Even with all those pieces, the picture's still blurry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that is what we are here for today, to try to put those pieces together, maybe see if there are any connections that the original investigators might have missed.
Yeah, like a fresh perspective.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
why don't we start by setting the scene, okay? So this small farmstead nestled in the Bavarian countryside goes home to the Gruber family. So there was Andreas the father,
Okay.
his wife Cecilia,
Okay.
their widowed daughter Victoria, and her 2 children, Cecilia and little Joseph.
Oh, and we can't forget the new maid, Maria Baumgartner, arriving on the very day of the murders. Talk about walking into a nightmare.
It really is almost too eerie to be true, right?
Like the setup for a horror movie.
Right. But even before that fateful day, there were already these unsettling incidents that really cast a shadow over the farm. So, Andreas mentioned finding these strange footprints in the snow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, leading to the house, but none leading away.
So someone was going in but not out.
Yeah, it's
So
very
weird.
strange.
It's so creepy.
And you also have to appreciate that the investigators they were working with, what they had in 1922, right?
Okay.
Imagine no DNA analysis, no sophisticated fingerprint databases.
It was all about deduction.
Yeah, so they relied on things like analyzing footprints, examining the murder weapon, interviewing witnesses, and, in this case, those footprints were just the beginning.
Oh, there's more?
Oh, yeah. There were reports of footsteps in the attic, a mysterious newspaper that no one recognized, even house keys vanished.
Oh, so it's not just one weird thing, it's like a whole bunch of things.
Yeah, it's like someone was deliberately trying to unnerve the family, like messing with them.
Like a psychological torture kind of thing?
It really is like something out of a ghost story.
Yeah.
And to make things even creepier, the previous maid quit just 6 months earlier, claiming that the house was haunted.
Oh, come on, no way.
Yeah, she mentioned hearing voices, unexplained noises.
Who would stay?
I know it's enough to make anyone want to leave.
Absolutely.
So these incidents create a really chilling backdrop to what happened on March 31st, 1922. And while the exact sequence of events is still a mystery, what we do know is that 6 members of the Gruber family were found murdered in their home.
So a full-on massacre.
And the details of the crime scene are, well, horrific.
It was a gruesome discovery. 4 of them, Andreas, his wife, Cecilia Victoria, and her daughter Cecilia, were found stacked in the barn concealed under hay.
Oh my gosh.
And inside the house, they found little Joseph and the maid Maria, both brutally slain.
This is where it gets really interesting for me. Those small details beforehand, they often hold the key, don't they?
Yeah, the little things can be so important.
Yeah, so the investigators determined that the most likely murder weapon was a pickaxe or mattock.
Oh, wow.
Brutal and up close and personal.
So not a shooting or something from a distance.
Yeah,
It was very hands-on.
yeah, very violent. And the autopsies, well, they painted a grim picture. Each victim suffered fatal blows to the head.
Oh, gosh.
But there were other chilling details. Victoria showed signs of strangulation,
Oh, no.
and young Cecilia was found clutching her own hair, which indicates that she was conscious and suffering for some time after the initial attack.
Oh, that just sends shivers down my spine to imagine a child aware of what's happening for that long. Just awful.
I know, it's just unimaginable. And adding to the puzzle, some victims were in their night clothes,
Okay.
while others, like Victoria and her daughter, they were dressed for the day.
So what does that tell us?
Right, it's like, what does this tell us about the sequence of events that night?
Yeah, it's almost as if the scene was deliberately staged.
Right, and here's another curious detail. Neighbors reported seeing smoke from the chimney in the days following the murders.
Hold on, so someone was in the house.
Yeah, someone had been in the house taking care of the animals, even eating food from the pantry.
Yeah.
It's just a detail that raises so many questions.
Like, were they related to the family? Was it the killer?
Right.
So many possibilities.
This detail, the killer staying on the farm, it challenges our assumptions about criminals. It suggests a level of comfort and familiarity with the environment, perhaps even pointing to someone who felt entitled to be there.
Yeah, like they belong there.
Okay, so we have a crime scene that seems like it's ripped from a nightmare, but what are the motive? At first glance, robbery seemed like the obvious answer. That theory quickly unraveled because a significant amount of money was left untouched,
Huh.
as were valuables.
So it wasn't about the money.
This wasn't about material gain. It was something far more personal, something driven by rage.
Like a targeted attack.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if not robbery, then what the police had their suspicions. And one name kept surfacing, Lorenz Schlittenbauer, Victoria's former fiance.
Okay.
And his behavior during the search for the missing family, it raised eyebrows. He seemed to know a little too much about the farm layout.
Oh, suspicious.
And witnesses even reported that the family dog, typically friendly,
Right.
reacted aggressively towards them, almost as if sensing something was wrong.
Like the dog knew.
It seems there were already whispers about a possible love triangle between Lorenz Victoria and her father, Andreas.
A love triangle.
So could jealousy have been the driving force behind these horrific acts? But then there's another layer to this already complex story.
Okay, I'm listening. Tell me more. There were whispers circulating among the villagers about an incestuous relationship between Andreas and his daughter Victoria.
Incest.
It was a transgression that had even landed them in prison.
Wait, are we suggesting that the grandfather might have fathered his own grandson, Joseph?
It's an unsettling theory, but one that can't be ignored. While Lorenz initially claimed paternity of Joseph and later denied it, the truth remains a mystery. This disturbing family dynamic adds another layer of complexity to the investigation. It's a puzzle within a puzzle shrouded in secrecy and potential shame.
Wow. So we have a potential love triangle, whispers of incest, and then there's Victoria's husband, Carl Gabriel, presumed dead in World War I.
Oh yeah, what about him?
His body was never found, so it leaves this lingering question mark hanging over the family.
The ghost husband.
It really is like something straight out of a Gothic novel. Some have theorized that maybe he faked his own death, only to return and find his wife entangled in this web of relationships.
Okay, so a jealous husband.
Right. Would a vengeful husband target the entire family, though?
That's the question, isn't it? Would he have taken his revenge out on everyone, even his own child?
Yeah.
Or could his return have triggered a chain of events, a confrontation that spiraled out of control?
So we have a potential love triangle, whispers of incest, a missing husband who may or may not be a ghost. Is there anyone else we should be considering?
Well, the police didn't limit their investigation to just those connected to the family. They also looked into other possible suspects, including Joseph Bertel, a man who had escaped from a nearby asylum.
Okay.
He had a history of mental instability and had been implicated in a previous murder. Some believed he might have been responsible for the Hinterkaifeck massacre as well.
A man with a violent past on the run. That's certainly a chilling possibility, but wouldn't someone like that be more likely to act impulsively rather than with the chilling premeditation we see at Hinterkaifeck?
That's a good point. It's important to consider the organized nature of this crime.
Yeah.
The killer took steps to conceal the bodies, remained on the farm for days, even tended to the animals. This suggests a level of planning that doesn't necessarily align with a random act of violence.
It's like they wanted to remain in control even after the murders, almost like a performance, a message hidden in plain sight.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if not a crime of passion, then what else could it be? Could there be something more, something connected to the turbulent times they were living in?
You're thinking about the political climate of post-World War I Germany.
Yeah.
It's a valid point. Extremist groups, both on the far left and the far right, were gaining power at that time, and these groups often resorted to violence to further their agendas, targeting those they perceived as enemies.
And to understand that, we need to remember that Germany was in a state of chaos after the war. The economy was in ruins, political divisions were deepening, and there was this sense of widespread disillusionment.
Exactly.
Extremist groups capitalized on this instability, recruiting followers and spreading their ideologies through fear and intimidation.
And within this tumultuous context, the Gruber family's isolated farmstead could have become a target. Perhaps they were seen as representing the old order, the establishment, or maybe they simply became victims of circumstance caught in a larger conflict that had nothing to do with them personally.
It's a chilling thought that their lives could have been swept away by the currents of history, their deaths, a mere footnote in a larger political struggle. So we have this tangled web of potential motives and suspects. We have personal grudges, family secrets, and the specter of political violence. But with so many possibilities, why does this case remain unsolved after all this time?
There are several reasons why the Hinterkaifeck murders continue to baffle us. One crucial factor is the contamination of the crime scene. Remember, numerous people, including neighbors and even the curious, walked through the farm before investigators arrived, disturbing potential evidence.
It's hard to believe, isn't it, they even ate food from the pantry. It makes you wonder how much crucial information was lost due to the lack of proper crime scene protocol back then.
It's a stark reminder of how far forensic science has come in 1922. Investigators didn't have the tools and techniques we have today. Imagine no DNA analysis, no sophisticated fingerprint databases.
Yeah.
They were working with limited resources and knowledge, relying heavily on witness testimonies and physical evidence that may have already been compromised.
It's a testament to their dedication that they were able to uncover as much as they did, but you can't help but wonder what they might have found with the technology we have today. But even with the limitations of the time, there's another aspect of this case that continues to fascinate and frustrate: the lingering questions, the details that don't quite fit.
You're talking about the inconsistencies, the things that make
Yeah.
you pause and say, wait a minute, like the fact that some victims were dressed for bed while others were fully clothed. Why? What does this tell us about the sequence of events that night?
Exactly. And what about the fact that the animals were fed, the cows milked, and someone had even been sleeping in one of the beds in the days after the murders? If the goal was to eliminate the entire family, why linger in the aftermath of such a brutal act?
It adds a psychological layer to the crime, doesn't it? It was the killer trying to taunt the investigators to demonstrate their control over the situation, or was there a deeper, more disturbing motive at play? Perhaps the killer was seeking a sense of completion, a perverse form of closure, by maintaining a semblance of normalcy in the wake of such horrific violence.
It's a chilling thought. And then, of course, there's Joseph, the youngest victim, found murdered in his mother's bed. This detail is perhaps the most difficult to comprehend, the one that speaks to a level of cruelty that is hard to fathom.
The murder of a child always evokes a visceral reaction. It challenges our fundamental understanding of humanity, forcing us to confront the darkest depths of human behavior, in this case, the specific circumstances surrounding Joseph's death. The fact that he was found in his mother's bed adds another layer of complexity and horror to the story. It suggests a deeply personal motive, a targeted act of violence that goes beyond mere brutality.
It's almost as if the killer wanted to make a statement to leave an indelible mark on the family, even in death.
The case of the Hinterkaifeck murders, with all its twists and turns, its lingering questions, and its enduring mystery, serves as a stark reminder that even in the quietest corners of the world, darkness can lurk. And sometimes those shadows can stretch out over generations, leaving behind a legacy of fear, speculation, and unanswered questions.
It's a story that continues to captivate and horrify, a puzzle that seems impossible to solve, yet impossible to ignore. And as we delve deeper into the details, into the lives and deaths of the Gruber family, we're left to confront not only the brutality of the crime itself, but also the enduring power of mystery, the human fascination with the unknown. Wow, it really is a lot to take in, isn't it? The family brutally murdered a whole web of potential suspects and a century's worth of speculation.
Yeah.
It's like staring into this dark abyss, just trying to make sense of something that, definite explanation.
I think the Hinterkaifeck murders are really a testament to the enduring power of mystery. We're drawn to the unknown,
Right.
to the unsolved, to the possibility that maybe there's something more out there, something just beyond our understanding.
Yeah, and in this case, it feels like those answers are just out of reach, hidden in the shadows of time. But
Yeah.
maybe with a fresh perspective, we can shed some light on this enduring enigma. What stands out to you as you've pieced together this case? Is there anything that pulls you towards a particular theory or suspect?
You know what I find most intriguing is the evidence suggesting that the killer stayed at the farm for days after the murders.
Yeah.
It's a detail that chills me to the bone just thinking about it. To carry out such a horrific act and then just blend back into the everyday routine of the farm. It speaks to a chilling level of calculation and, dare I say, comfort in that environment.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if the perpetrator was not only familiar with the family, but also felt a sense of belonging there, like a disturbing sense of ownership over the farm itself.
It's a terrifying thought to think that someone capable of such violence could move so seamlessly between brutality and normalcy. It's almost as if they were trying to erase the line between the two, to create a world where their actions were not only acceptable but expected.
What about you? As you've listened to all of this, has anything shifted your thinking about the case? Do you lean towards someone the family knew, or a stranger just passing through caught in the tides of history?
It's really difficult to say with certainty, but I find myself drawn to the idea that the killer was deeply connected to the family, the level of brutality, the specific targeting of each victim, and those chilling actions following the murders.
Yeah.
It all points to a motive that goes beyond mere rage or opportunity. It speaks to this deep-seated resentment, a need for revenge or perhaps a twisted sense of control that could only stem from a prolonged and intimate relationship with the victims. You're right. It is hard to imagine a stranger harboring that much anger or possessing such intimate knowledge of the family's routines. It's a stark reminder that darkness can lurk in the most unexpected places, even within the supposed safety of one's own home. The Hinterkaifeck murders really shatter the illusion of security, revealing the fragility of life and the potential for violence that lies dormant within the human heart.
Exactly. And that, I believe, is why this case continues to fascinate us, forces us to confront our own vulnerabilities, our own fears, and to acknowledge that even in a world striving for progress and enlightenment, the shadows of the past can still reach out and touch us.
Well, this deep dive has certainly left me with a lot to ponder. It's a story that will stay with me, a chilling reminder that some mysteries may never be fully solved. But the search for answers, the pursuit of understanding, is a journey worth taking.
Indeed, and as we conclude our exploration of the Hinterkaifeck murders, I'll leave you with this final unsettling thought. What if there's